All right, this is ingredients 4. We're going to be talking about a lot of details, kind of about the guidelines, and just how we want to present ourselves. There needs to be, some areas that we present ourselves the correct way while you're here at camp. So, number one, as we're talking about these guidelines, we want to present ourselves where we do not get all the attention. Because, again, we go back to our core values, we yell. It's all about maximizing our platform for Jesus. So, we ultimately want to point all the attention to Him. So if we're drawing attention to ourselves, then of course we're not giving glory and honor to Jesus while we're working here at Crowder's Ridge. So for our dress, we want to be modest at all times. I'm not saying Quaker modest. I'm saying modest. That means, if your dad would say something about it, then don't wear it. 1 Timothy 2 talks about how we should dress modest and appropriate for individuals who say, hey, they're Christ followers. Undergarments need to always be covered by garments. No clothing should be worn that is questionable. I'm not going to walk up in here in a shirt where kids are going to be like, oh, it's Post Malone, or whatever. I'm just not going to do that, because it might be questionable to some youth pastors or a retreat group that's here. It's very important. As leaders, we need to be prepared. One of the things you'll see there is, make sure you're wearing tennis shoes when you're supposed to be wearing shoes. If you're working construction, wear boots. Be prepared. Know what you're going to be doing the next day or the next 2 hours, so you have your rain gear. If it's raining, just always be prepared. Most of the times when you're here at Crowder's Ridge, we're going to supply you with some apparel. So if you could wear a Crowder's Ridge shirt instead of another shirt, or maybe your church's shirt, that's what I would prefer you to do, because we do provide those apparel tees and all that stuff for you. Dress situations can always be a little tension to it. So if you can see any mountains or valleys, cleavage right here, then you probably need to change clothes. Again, in this sexual sensitive age that we're in, we really need these young men to stay focused. And guys, if I can see your draws, then I'm going to yank them. Give you the old wedgie, because we just don't want to dress that like that. Those are the people we're ministering to, and not necessarily what we want our leaders to be about. So guys, modest length shorts. Chubbies are okay, but sometimes they're not. Just depends on what we're doing. Loose fitting shorts are good. Shirts that are just cut out through here, probably not. We like boxer swimsuit type shorts, not Speedos. Girls, we're going to rock some modest length clothing as well. If you cut your own shorts off or buy them at American Eagle and they're just coming right here in your crotch, you need to probably get a little bit longer. I have some you can borrow. Yoga pants, leggings, all that are cool as long as your top covers your bottom. No, always one-piece bathing suits, never two-piece here at camp. I'm okay if there was nobody here and you wanted to do that, and you were just with a bunch of girls here, but that opportunity probably isn't going to happen. So you probably just need to go to somewhere and buy some really cool one-piece bathing suits, kind of roll with that, okay? Them tan lines, though. All right, then. Hygiene. Man, you guys, whether you're working 9 to 5 or you're working all summer long, your hygiene will reflect you to all the people you're around. So make sure you set a good example. There's plenty of places to get haircuts, here in Gaston County. Everybody's got your own showers. Make sure you brush your teeth. All that stuff's pretty elementary. But it's amazing how you'll let sleeping in, 30 more minutes affect your hygiene. And it's very important that you don't do that. I really don't have a problem with somebody coming in with two or three earrings, but I do have a problem whenever you do something like that during the summer. Same thing with tattoos. If I was a man of great courage, I would probably have a sleeve, but I don't, and I don't like needles too well, so I'm not going to roll with that. And I know you being a young man or young woman, or even a mature man or mature woman, piercings and tattoos sometimes happen, but it don't need to happen during the summer. And if you're a college staff person coming to work here at Crowder's Ridge, you got to remember that you're surrounded by waterfront activities, which may involve you getting in water that could potentially make that opening infected, and we just don't want to do that. A couple things about do's and don'ts here at Crowder's Ridge. We want you to do some stuff. One, you can get up every morning and run while you're here and stay healthy while you're here. Counselors should always make sure other counselors are available whenever it could be a one-on-one situation. And sometimes us lead staff people, when we're here, we need to help other people out, other groups out when they're here, make sure they're not alone with kids. The office area, we created a new lobby area in the office. That'll be where all the college staff kind of hang out. But in the individual offices areas, just for lead staff people, all the college staff and anybody paid by the hour kind of just hang out in the lobby area. Practical jokes and pranks and all that stuff. I know you're gonna probably do something stupid. If you're working on summer staff or even lead staff, like we prank people for their birthdays always, just make sure it's appropriate. Make sure you're not going to do anything stupid. Talk to your supervisor and just make sure it's something that maybe is acceptable. Unless the prank's on him or her, then there you go. While you're working here at Crowder's Ridge, I want to know everything about you while you're here, but there's some things that I don't want to know about you. For our summer staff, I want to know everything about you guys, but there's some stuff I don't want to know about you. Unfortunately, we all live in a day and time where consuming alcohol beverages, if you're over the age of 21, some people would say, hey, don't get drunk, stay self-controlled. Well, I'm not going to get into all that. This is my stance on it. The consumption of alcohol beverages and use of any tobacco products or illegal drugs is forbidden. That's what I'm going to tell you, and that's what I kind of want to see. From you on a day-to-day basis, that's it. If I find out anything else other than that, contrary to this, then we're just going to dismiss you. Why? Because we don't have time for that. Staff members are not permitted to have any kind of weapons except for me here at Crowder's Ridge. Dismissal. Any person involved in a major infraction that is inconsistent with God's word will be immediately dismissed. There's a little bit of accountability here at Crowder's Ridge, and if you have a situation where you feel like you can't handle it or your supervisor is not handling it correctly, just come talk to me. And I'm going to most of the time side with the person that I've put in charge of you, your supervisor, but we'll see. There's always power and accountability. We'll have frequent staff meetings. Lead staff, we meet every week, sometimes twice a week. College staff, you'll have your meetings. We want you to be there because at that time we always have something to say, even if it's an encouraging word or just a celebration. I'm always available for porch talks. If you got something you want to talk about individually, I would love to kind of hang out with you and do that. So that's the do's and don'ts. If you have a visitor come to Crowder's Ridge while you're here, just make sure your supervisor knows what that visitor's doing here. Dating. Let's talk about dating relationships, especially for you summer staff people. We've had several camp dances happen, and a few of them's got married, man. I'm really excited about it. You're next. Maybe not. I don't know. But here's what we want to do. Ben and Christy Watts, they're married now, was the best story of camp dances I could ever potentially talk about. They literally liked each other for the whole month of June and then started talking together in July. And then I didn't know about it until the last week of camp, which is the 1st of August. And then I did their wedding for them. So I loved how they did it because they kind of just looked at each other across the room, you know, every once in a while take that glance. And then they started talking, but still no one knew. And if you read the guidelines in your manual about dating relationships here at Crowder's Ridge, that's perfect. They didn't let their relationship interfere with their job, their task, their mission that God had put them on here at Crowder's Ridge, and it was absolutely beautiful. Media, you're going to have all the connections to Wi-Fi while you're here, while you're working at Crowder's Ridge. Just make sure while you're here, or while you have a task to do here at Crowder's Ridge, you're doing Crowder's Ridge stuff and not other things that's non-Crowder's Ridge. There'd be some times where you're here in the summertime and you'll be watching movies. I like to make sure all those movies are approved by your supervisor before we jump into it, so we're not watching a bunch of R-rated movies. Music, Nate Flowers, our creative director, he's already set all the music, so there's no reason to change all that. If you use something in the facility, make sure you take it back to where you got it from. You be that somebody. Well, somebody needs to take that shovel back. No, you take that shovel back, because you're responsible and you're liable for any damages that could happen to that piece of equipment while you're using it. Make sure that when you're in cabins or hanging out with people, guys don't go into girls' cabins and girls don't go into guys. That's why we have these central areas for you to kind of hang out as a team, so you guys won't have that temptation of going into the cabins together. We're going to inspect your cabins while you're here and just make sure you're not living like a slob. So make sure you just kind of clean up and make sure everything's good. Make sure you be respectful of the grounds while you're here, sound systems. Make sure you talk to the person over sound systems before you start pumping out the bass. Kitchen's a very special place. Miss Gibson's running the kitchen for us right now. And when you go up there, just make sure you have the right respect and even authority to be able to walk in, because there's a lot of rules and regulations that come together with kitchens. So make sure you do that. Always be willing to give a helping hand and just contribute, because guess what? Remember, you are on mission while you're here at Crowder's Ridge. You're not here for a job. You're here on a mission. I do not even consider this a job. And I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for saying yes. I believe you're about to embark in one of the greatest seasons of your life. I've never met anybody that's not worked in camp ministry that's regretted it. Never. It is so fruitful, and God is going to use you so well. But first, you got to be able, willing, and a vessel. Pour yourself out to be refilled, and God use you. But always, this whole time, whether you're working here year-round or you're working here in the summer, just remember, this is not a job. This is a mission. This is a task to see people's lives changed. And I promise you, from the top, I'm talking the top, I'm going to give my extremely best. And I expect nothing but the best from you as well. And I hope that you will just enjoy and be able to sit back and watch people's lives change because of your effort and your participation and your passion to be here at Crowder's Ridge. Thank you.